maybe 12 and scale down. Select these vertices at the bottom and let's flare them out. Okay, so let's move down and then let's select the top faces and let's extrude them. I'll extrude again, something like this. Okay, up. Doesn't have to be perfect. Let's say maybe a little bit better than that, actually. Let's just put in an edge loop and and slightly scale it. And this as well. And let's edge loop again here. Let's make this slightly like this. Okay, that somewhat resembles that. Now for these bits at the bottom, is there much point in making them better? How about this? We'll do something really simple. Let's select these faces and extrude. And here I can keep faces together and instead not. Let's click off. So now if I control click there, I get a little scaling manipulator. So I'll scale them down like this and extrude them out slightly. And if I add an edge loop and just do this, and then I'll select these edges. Cool. Let's just scale them up. Something like that. And it kind of works. It kind of looks similar to that. So maybe let's go to normal mesh display. Yeah, harden edge. Okay. So this hardens all of the edges. And I'll add another edge loop there. And let's just scale that up. Alright, not bad. Kind of similar, right? I think that works. Too small. Let's make it bigger though. About maybe shorter, yeah. Something like this. A little bit smaller. Okay, cool. Let's create this little roof. Super easy. Let's just create a cube. And let's expand it like this. And down like this. And move it here. And let's just select this top face and extrude. And let's scale down the extrusion. And move it up. So I think we don't have to worry too much about the bottom. Okay. Scale it down a little bit. Cool. Alright, we want to create these columns. I think let's select all this and move all this up first. Okay. Let's do this. Just looking at this little bit here. Yeah, maybe let's insert some edge loops. If I insert 2 there and select the bottom faces and scale them down like that. Okay. And then I'll select these top faces and extrude. And again, I'll turn off the keep faces together option. So just to explain, with them selected on, this happens, and if I turn it off, it works like this. So we kind of want them to act separately from each other like that. So let's just scale these like this slightly, and like this, and let's extrude them. Cool. Actually, maybe let's select these bottom edges of the extrusion. Let's move them up. And that's quite similar to what we have there. Now, for the last bit, I think we'll just make another cylinder, and we'll make it an octagon. Cool. And again, we'll rotate it 22.5 degrees. That looks perfect, so we'll move it down here. And I think for the bottom, we could just extrude the bottom polygons of this cylinder and extrude them again like this. Okay, that's close enough. Let's just select both and combine, and let's go to edit delete all by type history. I think we want this little bit there, so let's select that face at the bottom and extrude it in slightly, and extrude it out, and extrude in again, and like that. Okay, so it actually looks like an interior in there. So now if I move this to the corner, something like this, I probably want to make it thinner. It's a little bit too thick. Okay, so now let's just click Ctrl plus D to make a copy. Okay, and let's just change the X to a minus value. So instead of 1.05, it'll be minus 1.05. So that moves to the other side because we're working around the origin. It all works together. So let's duplicate both of these and change the Z value to minus 1.128. Okay, so now we have 4. They still look slightly too thick, so let's just select them all and reduce them. Actually, that might not be the problem. The problem might be that this is slightly too thick. Okay, so let's scale this down. Let's select all of these and let's just group them and scale down the group. Okay, so instead of scaling them individually, we're now scaling them as a group. So basically, if I go to show it, this is what happens when you have the group selected, and if you have the individual selected objects, this is what happens. So we want to scale them down individually like that a little bit more. Yeah, cool. Kind of what I want. So let's select all of these and group them. And let's just again delete history just in case. Let's bring back my tower. And let's move this here. Far too big. Let's just delete this spare group. Okay, let's take this and scale it down. And let's have a look at placing it there. Actually, let's scale this up a little bit. And let's call this small tower geo. Alright. It does look like those are connected, I guess. But let's zoom out a bit more. Okay, so mine are currently a bit too small. Let's make it slightly bigger. Move it slightly there. And slightly up. Okay. Something like this. Maybe even a little bit smaller. Okay. Let's move this down. And again, copy by clicking Ctrl D. And let's just change that to a minus value. Now we have 2. Now copy both of them and change it there. Okay, so now we have all 4 copies, and let's move them all into the main tower geo. What's this? How did this get left over here? Let's delete this. Okay. So, do I want to model any of this detail, I wonder? Yeah, okay, let's at least model this small roof. Okay. Let's just make a cube, expand it, make it less tall. Like this. Move it up. Just scale down slightly like this, And let's just select the top face. And let's... Actually, I might want to select both faces, actually, and extrude them. And extrude them inwards. And let's just move them up. So now we have this little roof structure. That looks about right. And let's make it a little bit smaller down there. And yeah, okay, let's add these little parts as well that are holding the roof up. So let's just make something roughly similar. Okay, not quite sure what they are. They seem to be these little support things. I'll just make them very simple. Let's just create a cube. Let's make the rough shape like this. Okay, let's select this face. We'll rotate it slightly. Move it down a bit. And extrude. And extrude again. Something like that. So then, I think for a tiny bit of detail, I'll add some loops. And just increase the size of this here. Maybe add another one and increase the size as well. Something like that. I don't want to go into too much detail. So, it's not going to be very visible from a distance. So that should do it. Okay. Let's just change the axis to world to make it easier to move. Scale this down. And put it there. And okay, so 3 and 3 and then the edge. So let's move that there. go to Edit, Duplicate Special, and I don't want any rotation, I just want 2 copies, and translate it in the z-axis by maybe 1. Oh, wrong way. So -1. That's kind of like it. Let's select all of these and let's just duplicate them and put them there quite roughly. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. So let's just take this one, duplicate it, and let's move it to the corner. Let's just rotate it. 45, -45. Okay. Great. So let's copy this. Control D. And we want add -4 to the translation, and let's rotate it 45 degrees. So now these, let's select them all. Let's combine them. Edit, duplicate, or delete all by type history. And we can move the pivot to the center again. And let's just duplicate, rotate by 90 degrees, and select and duplicate and 180 degrees, and duplicate by 270 degrees. So now we have these everywhere. Let's select these corner ones. Let's straighten this out slightly. Okay. So let's combine them. Duplicate, rotate 180. Oh, I forgot to change my pivot. So we can just do that, set the pivot to center, and duplicate and rotate 180 in Y. So now we have all of these little struts. Let's just take them all and combine and edit, delete all by type history. I'll call these supports underscore geo, and I'll call this roof underscore geo, and put them both in the group. Okay, so we have our tower. I'll add the doors as well. One last thing. Let's extrude this slightly down. We'll add an edge loop. Somewhere around here. Okay. So we'll push that down a little bit further, and let's just change this to 6. That looks quite correct. Select the middle ones. Okay. And let's just extrude them. And if we look there, there's a nice little extrusion there, so we'll mimic that. Like this. And push in. Okay. Let's just go to Mesh Display, Soften, or Harden Edge, sorry. And we're done. All of these little details I would do in matte painting. I would not worry about modeling these. I think they would be a little bit of a waste of time for the kind of image that we're trying to create. But overall, I hope this helps explain my modeling process. Again, I'm not aiming for complete accuracy. I don't care about the cleanliness of the model. I just care about the detail it provides me and how that detail holds up at the scale that I need it to. Hope this helps. So one last thing, I'll just show you how to export this out of Maya. So let's select the group and let's make it sit on the ground plane better, so that it imports into Clarice in a way that is easy to place. So let's just go to Edit, Delete all by type history, and modify freeze transformations and modify center pivot. And now let's export it. Let's go to File, Export Selection, and Export Selection. And let's just go to our project folder and create a new folder called buildings underscore geo. Okay. And in here we'll call it tower underscore 3 geo. And we'll change this to where is it? OBJ. Okay, all good. So export selection. And that is it. So I do this with all of my assets, and then I bring them into Clarice. We're done.